I ask people, well, what are you going to do with the gun? Are you going to carry the gun, or is it just for a home defense gun? And they say, well, this particular gun, I just want it for home defense. And I said, well, if it's strictly for home defense, you want the biggest gun you can handle, you definitely want to make sure it's got an accessory rail for a flashlight. Because the last thing you want to do is have a gun in one hand and have a flashlight in another hand, and then this way both hands are occupied. What we want to do is, like we're doing in the video right now, we've got the Glock 34. It's the longer version, which seems to fit me well. It settles in my hand nicely. The weight of it just balances out real nice. The little bit of extra length in the barrel just makes me point it a lot easier. I personally like it. So for a home defense gun, this is the way to go. It's basically an idiot gun. Once you load it, you pick it up, you pull the trigger. But what I was talking about, gun in one hand, flashlight in the other, if I've got a gun in this hand and a flashlight in this hand, I can't open doors. I can't really defend myself. I guess I could beat him over the head with a flashlight, I guess. I can't make a phone call. But when the gun has the flashlight directly on it, it frees up a hand for the cell phone, the landline, opening doors, defense, or whatever. So if you're going to have one gun only for the house, and we're talking Glocks, a Glock 34 is great. It's awesome. It's high capacity. It's got 17 rounds in the mag, one in the chamber, and you can attach a flashlight to it. If you don't want to pay the little extra money for a Glock 34, you could go for the Glock 17. It's basically the same gun. It is the same gun, except it's got a half-inch shorter barrel. And if you'll notice the two, you'll notice the flashlight on the 34 lines up directly with the end of the barrel. On the 17, the flashlight extends out just a little bit, but it's the same basic gun. But on the Glock 17, if you were hard-pressed to carry a weapon concealed, you could carry this because the barrel is a little bit shorter. You could take the flashlight off, or you could get a holster that definitely accommodates the gun and the flashlight. But if you look at the difference with the 34 and the 17, the 34 gets a little bit big unless you're a huge guy to carry as a concealed weapon. The 17 gets in the range for a moderate-sized person to carry it concealed. Now, a person asks me, well, I've only got enough money for one gun, and I want it to defend my home, but I also want to carry it concealed. Well, I tell them then you basically want a mid-sized gun. You want a Glock 19 if we're talking Glocks, because all the bells and whistles are the same. Once you cock this weapon, once you load it, everything's the same. The angle of the grip is the same. The trigger pull's the same. The sights are the same. Everything's the same on the gun, except this one is even shorter than the Model 17 by a half an inch. So you could carry this concealed more easily. Is that proper terminology? More easily than the Glock 17 or the Glock 34, but it still has an accessory rail on it where you could put a flashlight on it and use it for a home defense gun. And the magazine on a Glock 34 and a Glock 17, which are the same mags, will fit in the Glock 19. And if you'll notice on the video, it extends out, but it doesn't matter. It hooks up in the same spot. So even though you got a shorter gun, you could put an extended mag on there and get the higher capacity. And they've also got the 30-round mags. Who wants to reload in a gunfight? So at night, when you put your 30-round mag in there, you're pretty much good for a gunfight without having to change mags. But that's the Glock 19. The Glock 19 is a mid-sized gun that you can use either for concealment or home defense because it does have an accessory rail. Which brings us now to, if you got the Glock 19 here, I'm putting up the Glock 43 right next to it, and that's about, I don't know, I'd say a half inch to 3/4 of an inch shorter. And once again, you'll notice that it's thinner than the Glock 19, which makes it much more conducive as a concealed carry weapon. It's got the same features as the Glock, same trigger, same angle of the grip, same mechanics, same sights. It's just a little bit smaller gun, easier to conceal, all 9mm. And what's really nice about this is, you know, if you look back in the day when they had 380s out there, because 380s was the biggest round you could carry in the smallest type guns. If you look at it now, the size of a 380 back in the day compared to 380s now was a monster of a gun. The technologies and the materials they get to use guns out of makes it able to reduce the gun size and still make it manageable, like this Glock 43. It's a 9mm reduced into a smaller size gun, which doesn't kick that much, which is easy to conceal and easy to use. I want to make a comment on the accessory rail. People ask, what's an accessory rail? In the video here, you're going to notice at the end of the muzzle, right underneath the muzzle, there's a couple of tracks put into the frame of the gun. There's one right there. and there's the other on the other side, and it's got a slot, a Picatinny slot going across. So what happens is, let's see if I can release one of these flashlights here. And I can. If you get a flashlight, it's going to have a locking mechanism on it that goes into that slot. You'll notice on the flashlight, the bar, that bar right there, matches the slot that's in the gun. These rails are utilized with the rails on the flashlight. So we connect the two together. We lock down the flashlight, and you're able to utilize this gun with a flashlight without it falling off. Or you could put a laser on it if you want to. The only problem with a laser is you don't get the illumination that you need at night, because you always have to identify your target. In daylight hours or low lit light, low lit situations, a laser's okay. However, you got to learn how to train with it. You got to train with a laser, because some people, when they use lasers, they miss their mark. It's hard to explain. That's for another show. But with the gun and a flashlight, you have the ability to use one hand and have two objects to secure yourself. So definitely, if you're going to get a gun for the home, get a full-size gun with an accessory rail, or the Glock 17, the Glock 34, the Glock 17. If you want to do both, you get the Glock 19. It's a little bit shorter. Not only is it shorter in barrel length, it's a little bit shorter in the grip length. So you can either conceal it or use it for home defense, because you have your flashlight capabilities. Or if it's strictly for concealment, you can use the Glock 43 and 9mm. These are all 9mm. They've got the same characteristics in the 45 caliber Glocks. So if you're a 9, 45, or a 40 caliber person, they've got all these different variations in the size guns. But we're spotlighting, highlighting Glocks because they're excellent guns, good price. ANC Firearms and Heidenhammer has them all. If they don't happen to have one that you're looking for, they can order it, no problem. Great service, great prices. They've been around. They support the show. And if you like the show, support them, because without them, I can't be on the air. So ladies and gentlemen, give them a call at 254-983-4417. Go to aaronsgunshop.com. Look at the Facebook page. Look at the picture of the Glocks there, and you'll see the progression of it getting from small to large. The only one I didn't have in there was the Glock 43. Check that out for personal carry. Excellent gun. And they've also got the Glock 42. That's a 380 caliber. It's just a little bit smaller than this one. So check it out. ANC Firearms, Heidenhammer, 254-983-4417. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our special guest, registered nurse Connie Allison, and she's going to be squaring us away when it comes to the necessities of first aid apparatus that you should have both in your home, your car, and your bug out bag. So we'll see you on the other side.